It's crazy, man. It's like yeah. I mean, I just don't see the Christ in any of this. I don't see the Christ in any of this.
They're protecting their assets. That's what they're doing.
And just by looking at so here's the thing. It's like this sort of tendency to cover things up doesn't just start in a vacuum. Okay, this kind of stuff where people feel like they need to cover things up does not start in a vacuum. How it is these things are developed. Okay, the way people work is done over time. And one of the things that helps us to actually understand the mindset of these folks, right, the Lambs, in particular Marcus and Joni, is how the issue was handled when it came out that Marcus had an affair. Okay? The way they handled that situation, and we're going to show a clip shortly here, but the way they handled that situation was that they came out only at the point where it became a detriment to them, that the people were trying to extort them with the information, just to say that, okay, if you don't give us a certain amount of money, then we're going to tell everybody what happened. Only at that point did they actually come forth. And yet this is supposed to be a ministry. So you think if this is a ministry and you're supposed to be transparent, not only should they have, sat down and even taken a sabbatical to work through these things and be willing to not be on the TV program so that they can repair their marriage, but they should have actually told people that, okay, so this is what happened. This is what happened, and we're dealing with this. Because there's people who are faithfully giving to this ministry, but they try to bury their own things that were going on behind the scenes in order to preserve their, empire. And so they were willing to do it then. So what more when now, okay, so if you're willing to put aside your own things and just bury things under a box, then if you feel like your children are threatening your ministry, you are going to easily be feeling like, okay, you know what? We were willing to do what was necessary, so you kids also better be willing to do what was necessary and cover this up. You see what I mean? So that's the point I'm getting at in all of this, that these things don't just start from nowhere.
Yeah.
Like if you have a heart to be covering up deceitful things and be doing it in order to protect your empire, your ministry, your so-called ministry, you're going to keep doing that, man. You're going to keep doing that.
And I think Jonathan knew what he was dealing with, because he went there armed with to record himself. So, he did that on purpose. So I'm like, okay, so what made you walk in with an intention of recording the conversation that you are going to have? So I think he knew what was coming down the pipe.
Man, it's this whole thing is it's just sickening. Let's go ahead and play a little bit of this video. So this is from, okay, so I will do whatever is right to heal the hurt and to blah, blah, blah after I've been threatened.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After I've been threatened with this $7 million extortion scheme, that's when I'm going to do what is right to make, everything right. And I'll do all these things and blah, 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 blah. I mean, this is, listen, man, like the integrity of Marcus and Joni Lamb at this point to me is like non-existent. There's no integrity with these folks whatsoever.
No, there's none. This guy came forward because somebody had threatened him. If that person did not threaten him, he would not have come forward. He would have just pretended as if nothing happened. But because there was a dollar sign attached to threatening his empire, I'm sure if his business, he could have afforded to pay that $7 million. But it looks like this guy was not willing under any circumstances, anybody messing around with his dollars. Okay? He decided, you know what, if I'm going to lose my wife, so be it. We are going to come forward. And Joni, okay, she stood by her man.
Yeah, she got on board with it.
She stood by her man.
She got on board with it. And, I mean, not to make light of the situation that okay, these things, there's infidelity is a terrible thing, wrecks marriages. By God's grace, there is room for forgiveness and restoration and for reconciliation. So we celebrate when people are able to work through those things.
Yes, absolutely.
We lament the fact that they happen, but we celebrate when people are able to work through those things.
Yes.
And it's a testament of, in most cases, it's a testament of God's goodness working and His grace in their lives.
Yes.
But in this incident, because of the character of the folks, it's hard to see that as just purely something that is within them, causing them to be okay. Let me, like the wife, really out of the goodness of her heart, simply willing to forgive him.
Yes.
When this is only coming out now, and they're only talking about it when there's money involved.
Yes.
And so it seems as though what's prompting her to be so forgiving, okay, is to say, I need to also do what I play my part in preserving what we have. Yes,
exactly. Like, if I leave this guy, this story is going to blow out.
Yes.
All these other things are going to happen.
We lose everything.
Am I willing to lose everything? Should I leave this? No. So I'm going to stand by my man. We're going to take care of business. So if you're noticing, this is a pattern that this family has. They do have instinctively, they want to protect the brand up until it's no longer good for them one way or the other. Then they will just sort of branch off. You know what I mean? Even look at the Jonathan situation. Okay, you're no longer taking a paycheck from these guys. Okay, now I'm just going to blow it all out as I'm going out the door. So, if you're doing things that are shady, sooner or later, things are going to come out to light. Sooner or later, they're going to come out to light. And Johnny is at every stage, okay? The matriarch of the family.
She's there. She's there. Her fingerprint is over everything. And then also, this almost kind of makes, as we talk about how we're going to get into how she got married to Doug Weiss and how that was a messy situation in and of itself. But this almost kind of shows how maybe there was a sense of where when Marcus was gone now, she was very free to move on quite quickly. And
take care of business.
And with, somebody who was also questionable in the way that he left his wife in order to be with her. So there's some improper stuff that happened even with her, subsequent marriage. But let's just watch a little bit more of this clip here. All right. So, I mean, that's pretty much enough of that. But I mean, we're just seeing him talk about things as though, okay, no, he was repentant. He sounds very contrite and repentant of everything. And I'm sure to some degree he was. But again, it's like all of this. Now we're on Dr. Phill. Now we're doing all this stuff because you were getting extorted. That's why you did this whole tour of trying to clean things up. That's literally why this happened. If those people never said anything, we never would have heard a peep out of this family. And it's not like they owe anybody an explanation. Like if things happen behind the scenes, they may owe their church an explanation. Pastors and everybody should know about it. But as a ministry, they owed the people who faithfully donate to this ministry an explanation, which never came. Only came at the threat of exposure.
Not only that, remember, these guys are Christians, right? They are running a Christian network.
Supposedly.
Why do people go to Phill? Why do people go to Oprah? It's for damage control. It's for PR. Right. That's why they're going to go and sit on Oprah's couch or on Dr. Phill. To my knowledge, Dr. Phill is not a Christian. So why are you going to Dr. Phill? You guys, you have your own network. Why don't you go on your network and then repent before your audience and say, this is what I was doing. Okay, I was cheating on my wife. I was wrong. I have repented. And now we are standing together as husband and wife. But no, they had to go to Dr. Phill, right? To, patch up their image and everything. So all these things are very calculative. No, man. They were all about the brand. The brand. That's what it's about.
And what is this image of?
The lion
a lioness. A lioness and her cub. So a lioness is all bloodied from battle after protecting her cub. And this is her So this is an image that gravitated towards her so much that she gravitated towards so much that she posted it on her Instagram, obviously with some captions as well. But this is her mindset right now, is that she is now a lioness protecting her cub. It's a powerful image. It's a powerful image. It speaks volumes. Then there's also something from a podcast, I believe, that is, I don't know which one it is, but it says Lamb podcast on it. It may be one that they're involved in.
Yeah, because both of them do have a podcast. Jonathan and Susie, they have their own YouTube podcast.
Yeah, but the person hosting it seems to be a different individual. So this was the video we watched earlier.
Oh, okay.
So they shared that on the page. Now, this is Susie with the child here at a very young age here. So again, this is her showing her love and everything for her daughter. I'll bring up the caption. It says, it's a little small. Okay, here we go. Growing is in the breaking and the rebuilding. So thankful I was raised by my mom, who is a lioness who would die for her kids, and she raised me to do the same for mine. God gave me the best husband who truly loves me like Christ loves the church. Over the past decade of my life, I learned that there are people who don't know what love is. Wow. They lie like it's the truth. Love is a weapon they use on naive people to manipulate. Words like I love you are like drinking poison to confuse, and subdue. It took many painful years and constant aching life lessons to learn this and accept it. Words are extremely important to me, so this is why I went around this mountain of confusion and deception for so long. Instead of believing the repeated actions, I kept choosing the words because it was easier. Then one day, God said, enough. Once you see this dark side, you can't unsee it. So then they will silence you because they can no longer control and fool you. So before you can expose them, expect the worst slander campaign. All this is not for the faint of heart, and it's almost taken me out too, dying to a lifelong reputation of simplicity and childlike happiness, to anxiety and depression. But in our weakness, he is strong, and he has healed and revived me. He is bringing the truth to life. So these are her thoughts and reflections here. This is a tough situation. I mean, this is obviously heartbreaking for them, difficult in so many ways. And when things like this go public, it's the attention. Like, some people don't even go public with stuff simply because they want to avoid the attention stuff.
Yeah.
And this is, they're going to receive, there's millions of people now who know this story, and especially in the Christian world, this is talked about. Let me bring this up real quick.
Said, don't ever talk about this again. And I've seen so many cases where large congregations and ministries, out of fear of the implications financially, because when your leader's the moneymaker, he's the charisma guy, he's your CEO is your top fundraiser. If he is exposed in a sexual scandal and has to step down, well, then that affects the whole ministry. And they're thinking it affects people's jobs. So you end up, instead of dealing with the perpetrator, you blame the victim. Are you really going to expose such and such, knowing how many people he helps, knowing how this ministry is helping people? Do you realize that by your being selfish and exposing him for abusing you, it's like being victimized a second time? But when she went to the pastor and told him...
Yeah, wow. So she's posting that over here, right? Wow. Yep. You're going to the place where you're supposed to be safe. You're going to the pastors to tell them. And then again, you're being shut down. That's what happens in some churches when these things happen. And in this case, this is somebody running to the parental figure and then being victimized again in that you are being shut down. You're being shut down. You're being told that you're, causing trouble, as it were. Terrible.
Yeah. So it looks like... Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll play this one. It's obviously these are short clips. Mm-hmm. So this is the same guy again.
No brainer, if you love the Lord, if you're in ministry for the right reason. But again, oftentimes people are not building the kingdom of God, they're building their own kingdoms, and anything that gets in the way of that is fair game. That's not the heart of God. That's not Jesus' leadership. This is a thing that he spent 3 years. I mean, if you look at his ministry to the disciples, the one theme that he taught over and over again was be a servant. Be a servant. You want to be great, be a servant. And, should we call down fire from heaven? No, don't call down fire from heaven. Be a servant. And that should be our message. Humility is to consider others better than ourselves. That's what Paul says in Philippians chapter 2. Every pastor needs to wake up in the morning and remember, my job is to consider the people in my congregation as better than me. But wait a minute, Pastor, you've written books and you're on TV and people come to you and they want you. Okay, great. But consider those people better than yourselves. It's something that I do as a practice. Is a no-brainer.
All right, yeah. So she shares quite a few of these short clips, and it's the same gentleman talking again. I don't know Lamb podcast at all, but yes, generally this is her Instagram sharing various thoughts, and there's messages on there showing her like a build up to this moment. And there's a lot of this talk of people not doing right. And in that long post that we read earlier, the one where she's holding the child, it's this thing where people have used the word love as a weapon. It's actually poison when they use it. So there's a great distrust, a great disappointment that she and her husband are dealing with right now. And it is on account of being betrayed by their own family.